Hey everybody, it's Theresa here of Larkin Design. Welcome to our Kids Albums project where I am working on scrapbook albums for 4 kids and doing that as a busy working mom, working from home and not losing my mind and not losing my mojo. And so one of the things that I love to do when purchasing scrapbook products, when deciding on scrapbook products to use, is to let the product guide me. And I'm working with the Pinkfresh Studio Super Cool collection today. And they have done several of these papers just like this that provide a really easy jumping off point to make a layout. This layout came together in about 30 minutes flat. And that only took that long because I decided to add some mixed media to the background of it, and but really allowing this paper to create the design for me made it so simple to pull this layout together. And so I've just opened up all of the products so that I can reach for them fairly easily. I have my photo printed out. My story today is from 2018, and our girls had, they were out in the garage and they found these boxes that they broke apart and they made tunnels for their skateboards, and then they were riding the skateboards through the tunnels and just having the best time in the world. And so I photographed that and decided that I would add that to Emberlynn's album as one of her stories for that year. And so here's what I'm going to do for the mixed media part. I grabbed these Jane Davenport watercolor brushes. They're from her mermaid collection products or mermaid inspired products. And so I'll tell you the colors that I'm using here. Blue Bottle, Pirate's Gold, Starfish, Jellyfish, and Siren. I used these the other day too in an art journaling project, and I had never used these to create splatters before. I don't know, it probably needed to be a little bit more watery, and probably using a larger brush would have made larger splatters. But that's okay. I went back and made some of the splatters a little bit larger so they had a little bit of presence on the page, and that is you can certainly doctor your splatters when you make them. And what I did was sort of this this cascade of splatters from the left to the right. And the idea was where there's a blue tag, I extended the blue splatters from that. Where there's a yellow tag, I extended the yellow splatters, the red and green, and so on and so forth. So it was just a fun way to get a little bit of color onto the grid part of this background paper. And like I said, this is really the only part of creating this layout that took a while, but it was also a lot of fun, and you can't go wrong with a little bit of paint splatter. And this was just a fun way to get some paint down on the page and experiment with how do these watercolor brushes, how well do they splatter. And so there you go. I would use a bit more water, maybe put a couple of drops of water into the bowls with the paint, and then use a larger brush. But the pigment in these watercolors is beautiful. They are rich, beautiful, bold colors, and they're just a lot of fun to use. So I've I've had a good time with these. Yeah, and so once I have the paint splatters done, I think this is the last color that I'm going to do. I'm just trying to get it activated. This is one that I haven't used yet, and it didn't really want to go. I think I need to work with it a little bit. The pressure of performing on camera, right? And so I grabbed this one instead. This was the Pirate's Gold one, and it probably worked out better. It probably looks better on the page anyway. And so just a couple across the page there. Interestingly enough, I did not have to let this dry. I didn't have to set it with the heat gun or anything like that. I just cleaned everything up and kept going. So that was nice too, that it was relatively low moisture there, not a lot of drying time. So I'm going to clear all that out of the way and then get started on my layers. And so I sort of know, just like the paint splatters, I'm going to allow the photo and the title and other embellishments to sort of cascade from left to right. Cascade probably isn't the right word, but it's like they're all coming from this left-hand side out. And so I'm going to use some foam tape and pop up that photo just so that I can tuck a few things around it. The decision to not add any pattern papers or layers underneath the photo is absolutely subjective. But I decided that it would work here. And this just allows me to tuck some other embellishments around the photo and let it pop off the page in that way. So I'm also going to add some layers on top of the tags that are already printed on the paper and just give that a little bit of dimension. I love this little pack of speech bubbles that was with the collection, and they add this fun little element of transparency, or they're not really transparent. They are opaque enough that I used the foam tape and they don't show. The foam tape doesn't show through those. So that was a good thing. So they're not really transparent. They're more opaque. Got it. And but that does allow it to sort of stand up on top of the background for that dimensional look that we're going for. And that's what makes this so much fun. So they also are, they're a different shape, right? Because the shapes that are printed on that pattern paper are tags, notebook, torn out notebook paper, and then this is the speech bubble, so it's kind of a different little shape there. I also, added some of the die cuts to the graph paper portion of the background. And I'm going to add my date here. This was back in March of 2018, which feels a little bit like Camelot now. Yeah, so it was definitely a much more carefree time. But I think that it's really healthy right now to draw from those memories and to record those memories. It's even more important to record those right now so that we can remain hopeful. And you can see here how I'm masking off this roller stamp. It's a Becky Higgins roller stamp from Project Life. And I am creating my own kind of date there just by masking off so that it fills the space of this little tag there, and then I'm going to tuck it under the bottom of the photo. And now I'm going to build my title here. I wanted to build the title around the word teen, and so this is a lot of fun. I decided to use the Nirvana title, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and just because there's something so free about the spirit of this photo and the spirit of that day, that they brought the playfulness and the imagination, but still with the edginess of, being cool kids here. And so that was sort of the feeling that I wanted to convey into the layout, and that's why I'm doing the title like this. So I laid it all out. I laid it all out like this to put the smells like on top of the teen, and then spell out spirit next to teen. And it just didn't feel right composition wise. So I'm going to move the smells up. That sounds weird to say. I'm going to move the word smells up above, like, I guess, one line above, and then slide the like underneath smells so that it flows better. And full disclosure, when I went back and was photographing the layout, I realized that the word like was just a little bit too low, so I did center that a little bit more after I turned the camera off. And this title is funky. I'm not gonna lie. There's still something that feels funky about the title, graphic design wise, and I can't really put my finger on it. It works. I think that it works, and I love how the layout turned out and how it looks. Something that helps, and you'll see this as I go along, something that helps is that I'm going to put some puffy stickers and some die cuts underneath the word spirit so that it feels more like the point of the visual triangle on this side of the page. Because right now the spirit kind of stands out weird. So I'm definitely glad that you'll see here I'm adding the yay, and I'll add a speech bubble too that says nice underneath that. I'm definitely glad that I did that so that the spirit wasn't just lurking out there awkwardly by itself. It has friends now, and fits in with the whole. I think that there's a word flow here that works out nicely. So my graphic design friends, you might be able to hone in on what it is that feels strange about this. But my whole point of pointing out to you that I feel like there's something that's unresolved here is to remind you that even if you create the layout and something doesn't feel right, and even if you can't quite put your finger on it or you don't know what to fix, go with it and still feel proud of that layout. Let there be some imperfections or a bit of tension. Maybe it's a tension in the design of this page. I don't know. But the point of creating the layout was to have fun, and I definitely had fun, and to love the outcome. Even with its minor imperfections, even if it's not technically correct, and it doesn't have to be technically correct. I talk a big game. I like graphic design. I love to talk about how to use design principles and elements in your pages. But I definitely also like when there's a page that doesn't check off all the boxes. So there we go. In the end, I added just a couple of sentences of journaling down there at the bottom, and then that completes the layout. You can check out more on my blog, as always, at larkindesigntm.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.